Good day. I'm Dr. Tim Berry, and I'm the president of Alderson Broaddus University. And I have a tradition of doing these fireside chats alone, but today I'm joined by two distinguished colleagues. Carrie Walters is our Director of Marketing and Communication here at Alderson Broaddus University. And Becky Hooman is the Chairperson of our Board of Trustees. And today we're coming to you to provide an open and transparent look at Alderson Broaddus University. And with that, I'll turn it over to Becky and to Carrie, and we'll have this conversation.
So I wanted to thank you both for meeting with me today to help further the mission to be more transparent in our communications. In an effort to facilitate this conversation and to address important milestones in AB's past, I'd like to start by asking for a historical perspective on how AB has gotten to where it is today.
Well, thanks for that question, because I think it is important to understand something about AB's history in order to put in perspective where we are now. AB's financial struggles are long-standing. I first got involved with the board in 2011 as a liaison from the Alumni Council, so sort of an observer. And then I became a trustee in 2013. In no year of my involvement has AB had a positive budget or cash flow. When I came in 2011, our enrollment was 624. So when we brought President Crean in, we were already in a very difficult financial position, and he worked quickly with the campus community to put together a strategic plan that focused on some things such as making sure that students got through school in 4 years, that it didn't take longer than that. We changed our recruiting model to focus more on athletics. We froze tuition and fees for 4 years. We instituted a merit-based scholarship system. And these initiatives, and including beginning online instruction, these initiatives were all designed to drive fast growth in enrollment, because that's what we needed, and also to meet current market demands. So it worked. Enrollment rose to over 1,100 in 2013, and it stayed between 1,000 and 1,100 through 2017. However, despite the enrollment growth, the budget and cash flow were still in the negative because the expenses grew at the same time. So there was a struggle, ongoing struggle in terms of finances. The board and administration took several steps during this time frame of the early 2010, 11, up through 15. And some of these decisions were not well explained at the time and therefore not well understood. One of the actions that the board took was to bring in a forensic accounting firm. So when the board realized right off the bat, as President Crean came in, that we were in such a difficult financial position, part of the reason for that was that our business office didn't have the tools to be able to provide information on a very timely basis. And so we were kind of finding out after the fact where we were. So the board brought in a forensic accounting firm to really look at exactly where we were, and they told us that at that point we had about 30 days to operate. So in order to continue to keep the school open, and in order to be able to make progress on the initiatives that we had in progress and be able to make it through until, as our enrollment was growing, we borrowed the bulk of the endowment at that point. So a couple of things that I want to make sure are clear about the borrowing of the endowment. One is that at the time that happened, we had an alumnus and their spouse who pledged a portion of their estate upon the second death that was enough amount to replace the endowment. Secondly is that we have continued to and will continue to award the scholarships represented by those endowment funds from our cash flow. And that has been the case all the way through. In 2012, we also, the board made the decision, along with the West Virginia Baptist Convention, to sever the legal ties between the two. This was the same action, really, that the American Baptist Convention had taken the year before with their mission entities in order to allow those bodies to have independent boards and to separate the fiscal responsibilities. And it was the intention to have the same effect between the West Virginia Baptist Convention and AB. We still maintain the relationship with the Baptist Convention, and Dr. Berry will talk about that in a minute or two. So also in 2012, we conducted an academic audit, and which has now turned into an academic program review, which is ongoing, 5 programs a year, are looked at in terms of enrollment, resources, internal and external market, fit for our mission, support for our individual student learning outcomes, and the recommendation may be to discontinue a program, leave it the way it is, alter it. So it just depends on what the circumstances are with the program. An example is our ministry and leadership program was replaced by religion and philosophy because we thought it fit the market better.
So I know that the music program was one of several to be discontinued. Can you share with me more insight into that decision?
Yes, and that was really the value of that academic audit, because we definitely found programs that we couldn't continue to support, and we actually have ended other programs in the meantime. With the music program, what we found is that although we truly had a conservatory level music program, and it was distressing to have to make that decision. But when we looked at particularly the financial aspect of it, we were losing a lot of money every year in that program. It didn't have a high enrollment, and we were losing about $400,000 a year on it. It was costing us twice as much as our stated tuition to educate every one of those students, and it just wasn't sustainable. So as sad as it was to have to make that decision, it was clear from a financial standpoint.
Can you give us some insight into taking out the municipal bond and the default of that bond?
Yes, we actually, as the enrollment was growing so quickly, we needed dorms and we needed the multi-sport stadium for the athletics. So the way we funded that was to take out a municipal bond in the amount of $37.4 million. And that was in 2013 that we did that. And by 2015, early 2015, we defaulted on the bond. I mentioned that expenses went up as much as income did, and we just could not make those payments. So that led to the default of not making the payment. So during that time frame especially during 2013-14 and early 2015, we were working on bringing other programs in. In fact, we came very close to being able to implement an optometry school, but we just couldn't get the funding together to do that, even though we were making it through the accreditation process. So we ended up in April of 2015 of defaulting on the bond and continuing the financial struggles. In the fall of 2015, we brought Dr. Berry in, and he was faced again with a difficult financial situation and a bond that was in default. Now, Dr. Berry initially came to us for a 1-year interim period, but we realized fairly quickly that it was going to take some time for us to be able to reach some stability, both financially and just campus-wise. So it's unusual in this kind of situation, but we did agree to and ask Dr. Berry to, and he agreed to extend his stay with us. And we did that 2 times, with the last extension going through June of 2023. So I think, Dr. Berry, it would be appropriate if you share a little bit about what has gone on and what's happened while you've been president.
Well, it's been a very busy time these last 8 years, I must admit. I've been delighted during this period of time to lead AB and to be with our faculty and staff and students and our members of our Board of Trustees, which have been wonderful. So a number of things have happened, not just because of me, but because of all of us associated with the university. And I give credit to everyone that's been involved. I think, first of all, we successfully mitigated the COVID-19 pandemic, and that is a very important thing to mention. We implemented a more flexible strategic plan called a strategic decision model, a more fluid document and less static than a strategic plan normally would be. And that's served us very, very well. We've enhanced campus facilities throughout my years, including improvements to the Coliseum, Withers Brandon, and the stadium with a new turf, and that was done just this past summer. We've worked with accreditation, and the Higher Learning Commission has become very close to us, and we've been able to move from being on probation to being on notice to full accreditation, and we're fully accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. We did take out a USDA loan, which replaced the former municipal loan, and we also established a new diversity program. We have a new diversity officer. We went to a new athletic conference, the Mountain East Conference, away from the Great Midwest Athletic Conference. We have a full-time coordinator in Title IX, and we're sharing that, even though it's considered a full-time position, with Davis and Elkins and with West Virginia Wesleyan. We have a new audit firm that has been working with us rather successfully, Eide Bailey. We strengthened ties, as Becky alluded to, with the West Virginia Baptist Convention, the American Baptist Churches USA, and the Home Mission Society, as well as the American Baptist Alliance. So we've reestablished those contacts and frankly enhanced them. And as I speak, their executive staff the West Virginia Baptist Convention staff is meeting on campus for planning purposes. We have new academic programs in the graduate area, including cybersecurity, teacher as leader, and we have a new doctoral program as well in cybersecurity.
So much of our success as an institution actually revolves around enrollment. Can you provide some history and insight into the future of enrollment at AB?
Yes, and you're definitely correct with that. As I mentioned, when I first came on the board, we were at 624, and through the work in the 2011 and a few years beyond that, we quickly rose to 1,100 or so and stayed there until we were put on probation. And the probation visit of 2016, which of course is based really on information from 2015, was announced in 2017, and as is typical, that leads to a drop in enrollment, and we dropped from the 1,000, 1,100 range to low 900s at that point. We stabilized at that point, and we're starting to see signs of climbing back from that and coming off of probation when COVID hit. And that, as it has across the country, has really dropped enrollment, and it's hit particularly hard small private four-year schools like ours that are in rural areas. National statistics show that in 2020, enrollment was down 3.8%. 2021, it was down 4.5%. And although we all thought that 2021 would be better, it was still down 4.2% in 2022. For colleges like ours. And we were right there with it. So we've seen the drops in enrollment come down. Our fall enrollment was 767. So given all of the effects on enrollment bringing it down, that's continued to challenge us even more in terms of the budget. So we've continued to working on reducing the budget, as well as continuing on to develop new programs and delivery methods to increase income coming in. Particularly over the last year, that involved more eliminating positions, which is always difficult and scary for everybody. Over the late spring, early summer, we did make a second borrowing from the endowment, and I'm embarrassed to say that we failed to communicate that, and I apologize for that. But it was the way that we could keep going and continue to fund the school and get to where we know we're headed down the road. I would like to make clear that the decision to do that borrowing from the endowment was a unanimous board decision. It was the only way to get through the summer, cover payroll, keep the school open. And I would just like to say how much we appreciate what you and Rhonda both have done for us. You've worked very hard and just made a huge difference in the campus. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize is how much they do personally. They donate to the school and use that fund for conference trips, if you go to dinner at Greystone and their beautiful linens and dishes, Rhonda bought those out of the fund that they donated to AB. Posters around the school, all kinds of Adirondack chairs, so many things that they have done that you would never know. So we really appreciate that. So where are we now? Fall enrollment was 767 students, which was less than we had hoped and less than we had budgeted for. Spring enrollment, it'll be a couple of weeks before we know a final number, but it looks like it's below probably what we have budgeted for. The good news is that we have better tools and better staff capable of the complexity of managing the budget and the cash flow so that we can make better decisions about how to deal with this. We can do more realistic planning as a result. Other good things, as Dr. Berry mentioned, we have enrollees in our first doctoral program. It's the information science program. We have a few enrollees there still enrolling. We have now 27 enrollees in our Masters of Information Science program. We have a very successful surgical tech program that is an online program. So there's just a variety of things that are going on already that are bringing in more students. In terms of the interim president, which I shared in December, in late spring we'll form a committee. Our plan is to form the committee in late spring for placement in July 1st. Then as we move into the fall, we will form a full search committee to find our permanent president.
So can you share the goals and strategies for AB moving forward for the 2023-24 academic year and beyond?
Sure. Our strategic and tactical planning is ongoing. As you know, the numbers change every day. As we shared in December, we do have some initiatives that are upcoming, and we'll share details about those as they are available, including a 2+3 engineering program with a large university and potential tenants for the hospital building. We're working on building on existing partnerships. As Dr. Berry mentioned, we have some administrative sharing. We'll be looking at more opportunities related to academics. Every school is really struggling, so the more we can work together and support each other, the better off I think we all are. We're working on increasing our marketing efforts for our programs as well as our unused real estate. So we're excited about some things that are coming. We have a strong upper management and a stronger, more effective, and more engaged board than in the past. I think I didn't mention when we made the change in 2013, we dropped our board from 38 members down to 21, and it's so much more effective to work with that number. What has not changed, however, at AB, even though lots of things has, is our mission of preparing students for success in their chosen discipline in a diverse society. What has also not changed is the excellence of the education that our students receive, and that's thanks to our faculty and the support of the staff. I don't know if you're aware that our graduates are highly employable. In 2021, 100% of our graduates were either employed or going for further education. So the board is committed to a sustainable AB and to continued open communication. So while we're doing our work, here's how you can help. First, let people know about AB. If you know a prospective student, get in touch with the admissions office, get them here to campus to visit. Secondly, if you're able, consider a gift to help us move forward. Alumni are an important part of the memories and the history of AB, but also a critical part of the future. Thank you for your time today. If you have questions or comments, please reach out to the alumni office as is shown on the screen. And we'll see you again soon.
And thank you very much on behalf of Alderson Broaddus University for your attention today. May God bless you and may God bless our wonderful university. Thank you very much.